हेलो।
यस सर।
कितने लोग आए?
13 है सर।
शुरू करते हैं।
यस सर।
We have been discussing the poem The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And as we have already discussed that it is a poem of crime and punishment, and it is also a poem of sin and redemption. The crime was committed by the ancient mariner, and on account of the sin committed by the ancient mariner, he was punished. We have already discussed in the second part of the poem that the ancient mariner feels thirsty. His throat was parched. His throat was dry. And he is feeling very much suffocated. He is in the water of the sea. Water is seen all around the ship of the poet, but he can't drink a drop of water. So the ancient mariner cries loudly, feeling very much thirsty, and he tells, water, water everywhere, and all the boats did sink. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. And all the mariners also started suffering from the hunger as well as the thirst. They got angry in beginning. All of them have appreciated the work performed by the ancient mariner. All of them saw that the fog has disappeared, the ice has started splitting into pieces, breaking into pieces, the wind started blowing, supporting, and the atmosphere became clear, the fog disappeared, the mist vanishes. So, looking all these things taking place there around them, they started feeling very much happy, and they appreciated the work done by the ancient mariner. That was the killing of the albatross. Now the punishment starts, and this situation is called life in death. Two terms have been used by S.T. Coleridge, a great romantic poet in the history of English literature, and he is called a poet of supernaturalism. death in life and life in death. I have thrown light so many times on these two terms. Death in life means completely death, complete death of a person, meaning thereby that the person has gone to the world from where there is no system of coming back. He has reached the world from where there is no practice of returning to the real world. That is the complete death of a person. That is called death in life. There is another term which has been coined by S.T. Coleridge, and that term is life in death. This is called, in other words, living death. You are just a living person, but you are worse than, the condition is worse than a dead person. For example, I have given you so many times, so many examples. There is a man who can't go from one place to another place. Even he can't reach his washroom. He is confined to bed. He can't get up. He cannot take himself his own food. He has to depend on some attendant. So, just to say, he is alive, but he is worse than a dead person. If death comes to him, it is most welcome. Death is most welcome. But death doesn't come because he has got to suffer because of the sin committed by him in his life. And this is the same thing which is happening in the life of the ancient mariner along with all his mates. So all the mariners got angry with the action of the ancient mariner, and all of them tied the dead body of the albatross around the neck of the ancient mariner. Now the dead body they removed, they unbroke the cross which is hanging around his neck, that is broken by the other mariners, and in place of the cross hanging around the neck of the ancient mariner, the dead body of the albatross is hung around his neck. So here the second part ends. Now we have to give a very charming starting to the third part of the poem. There passed a weary time, each throat was parched and glazed at each eye. A weary time, how glazed each weary eye, when looking westward, I beheld something in the sky. The ship of the ancient mariner now is going northward. It is going from south to north. Naturally, the sun will be setting in the left side, in the west side. So there passed a weary time. They are passing through the hard times. Their time is very difficult. They are passing through the critical situation. Each throat was parched. Their throats were parched. Parched means dry. And glazed each eye. Their eyes had a glossy appearance. A very difficult time, very critical situation. How glazed each weary eye. And all of them are looking towards the face of the ancient mariner. When looking westward, they were looking westward. I beheld a and they saw something like an object appearing in the sky. At first, it seemed a little speck. In the beginning, they saw this object as a point, as a dot. It was looking just like a dot. And then it seemed a mist. It changed into mist. It moved and moved. It goes on moving and moving and moving, whirling and whirling, took at last a certain shape. That point, which was seen by the mariner, by the ancient mariner, in the beginning it was a point. It was just like a dot. Later on, it changed into a mist. And after this, it goes on moving and moving. And after some time, it took a kind of shape. The aspect, a mist, a shape, I wished. And still it neared and neared, as if it touched a water sprite. It plunged and tacked and veered. The poet tells that in the beginning, the mariner sees it like a dot, and then it changes into mist, and it finally it has taken a kind of shape. And all the time I saw that very object coming and coming nearer and nearer, nearby my ship. It goes on changing its course. It seems just like a spirit with throats unslacked, with black lips baked. We could nor laugh nor wail through utter drought. All down we stood. I bit my arm, I sucked the blood and cried, a sail, a sail. The poet is discussing here in a very clear-cut way on account of intense heat. My throat was parched. My lips looked baked. And my throat was getting dry. I was feeling suffocated. Therefore, I need water to moisture my tongue. But unfortunately, Water was there, but not a drop of drinking water. So to moisture my tongue, I started biting my arm and sucking blood from it, with throats unslacked, with black lips baked. Agape they heard me call, Grant mercy, they for joy did grieve, and all at once their breath drew in, as they were drinking all. The poet said here that the throats of the mariners were also dry, their lips were also dry with thirst. Suddenly, they hear the sound of shouting, they hear the sound of noise with surprise. Then they started giving thanks to God, and they started expressing their happiness. They started taking their breath over and over again, and they started feeling their throat moisture. They started feeling that they have already drunk water, though they had not drunk water. It means God is very merciful to them. God is very much sympathetic towards them. God is pouring His mercy upon all the mariners sitting on the ship. See, I cried. He takes no more. Hither to work us will, without a bridge, without a tide, sea steadies with upright keel. The ancient mariner says to his friends, to his mates, that the ship has stuck. It was reaching them, and it would bring them help. The thing which they have seen looks like a ship, and it was a strange ship. There was no tide, there was no wind. Still it goes on sailing and sailing, coming towards the ship of the ancient mariner. It is miracle. Some miracle is taking place. There is no breeze is blowing, no tide is in motion. Still it is sailing and coming towards our ship. The western wave was all aflame. The day was well nigh done. Almost upon the western wave rested the broad, bright sun, when that strange ship drove suddenly betwixt us and the sun. The poet tells that the day was just to end. The day was just to be over. In the west, the sun is to set, and the sun rays at the time of setting looks red, crimson, broad bright sun appeared to be setting in the west, and at that very time, at the time of sunset, a mysterious thing appeared, and this appeared between the sun and the ship. Peculiar type of thing is seen by the ancient mariner, and this ship is between the sun and the ship on which the ancient mariner, along with his mariner mates, sitting. And astride the sun was flecked with bars. Heaven's mother send us grace, as if through a dungeon grate he peered with broad and burning face. Suddenly or immediately or very soon, the sun looked streaked with lines. So many rays of the sun are spreading from the suns. The broad and crimson red sun appeared to be peeping through the iron bars of a prison window. Mariners started praying to Virgin Mary to show mercy upon them. Alas, thought I, and my heart beat loud, how fast she nears and nears. Are those her cells that glance in the sun like restless Gosa marriage? It was not the ship, the thing which was seen by the ancient mariner. It was not ship, rather it was the skeleton of ship, which is approaching very fast to the ship of the mariner. The ancient mariner was not feeling well. His heartbeat became very fast. The heartbeat of the ancient mariner increased more and more because he is in the know of the fact that some peculiar thing is coming to my ship, and some untoward things will take place, will happen with me. He was very much surprised to see that the shell looked like cobwebs floating in the air and shining in the sky. Are those her reefs through which the sun did peer as through a grate? And is that woman all her crew? Is that a death? And are there two? Is death that woman's met? The ancient mariner is very much horrible. He is very much fearful. And He ceased because he had seen the horrible scene, fear creating scene. They seemed to be the bars of prison, and the sun looked like a prisoner who is peeping from behind, peeping through the iron bars. He saw just one woman sitting on the ship, and he wondered that if she was the only crew. Then he sees another figure. The first figure looked like the spirit of death, and he is very much surprised if the second one is her mate. Her lips were red, her looks were free. Here, the poet is throwing light. The appearance of the two persons sitting on the skeleton of the ship. How the lady looks. Her lips were red. The lips of the lady who is sitting on the ship which is coming to the ship of the ancient mariner, her lips looked red and her face was free. Her looks were yellow as gold. The color of the face of the lady is as yellow as the gold looks. Means the color of the face of the lady is golden. Her skin was as white as leprosy. Her skin looked as white as a man who is suffering from leprosy looks. Very fearful, or very horrible scene has been presented by S.T. Coleridge in these lines. The nightmare, life in death was she, the horrible woman who is seen by the ancient mariner is life in death. There were two persons sitting on the boat which is coming towards the ship of the ancient mariner. One is death and another is life in death. So she thinks that the horrible face of the woman is life in death, who thicks man blood with cold. When a man sees that lady, that is life in death, certainly people's heart is filled with fear, and his blood in his body will freeze. The naked Hulk alongside came, and the twain were casting dice. The game is done. I have won, quoth she, and whistles thrice. At last, the skeleton of the ship came to the ship of the ancient mariner. The ancient mariner saw that two persons are playing dice at the ship. One is death, another is life and death. Life and death cried, "The game is over and I have won the game." She whistled 3 times because her heart is filled with pleasure. She is feeling very much pleased because she has won the game. So being very happy, she creates the voice of whistling through her mouth. The sun's rim deeps, the stars rush out. At one stride comes the dark, with far-heard whisper over the sea, offshot the spectre bark. The sun set down below the horizon. The stars started twinkling in the sky. The stars started shining in the sky. It was a dark night, and the skeleton of the ship suddenly disappeared. The whisper of the sound with which it withdrew could be heard in a distance. All the mariners along with the ancient mariner were sitting on the ship, and they saw that how the night is getting darker and darker, and their ship is going far away. We listen and look sideways up. Fear at my heart, as at a cup, my life blood seemed to ship. Stars were dim and thick at night. The steersman's face by his lamp gleamed white. The mariners are hearing or heard the sound. Just after hearing the sound, they started looking sideways to and fro. The ancient mariner's heart was filled with fear. He feels very much horrible. It seems that his blood has frozen into his body. It is not functional. It is not in working condition. The stars were dim and the night was very dark. So the scene was very much horrible. The fearful scene was there. The lamp was burning, and in the light of the lamp, the face of the mariners looked pale, appeared to be pale. The dew drops fell from the sail. At last, they saw the curved moon, half moon, rising above the horizon. It had one bright star within its lower end. Simply should know that it is the night time and all the stars are shining in the sky dimly. The half of the moon is also rising from the horizon, and they are looking towards the sky, one after another, by the star dogged moon, too quick for groan or sigh. Each turned his face with a ghastly pang and cursed me with his eyes. In the dim light of the moon, surrounded by the star, the ancient mariner sees the face of his sailors, and they see all his shipmates falling down dead, one by one on the ship. The sun is shining in the sky. The moon is shining in the sky at night. It is surrounded by so many stars, and the mariners see, the ancient mariner sees all other mariners falling down dead, one after another, one by one. They fell upon the speck of the ship, one by one, and they could not speak even a single word. They are not weeping, they are not crying, they are not groaning, they are not sighing. In this way, all of them fell down on the ship, and they are looking at the mariner in a painful glance. It seems that all of them lying upon the ship, looking towards the ancient mariner, cursed him with their eyes. 4 times 50 living men. 4 times means 50 plus 50 plus 50 plus 50 is equal to 200. 200 living men. And I heard nor sigh nor groan. They are not taking sigh, they are not crying, they are not groaning. With heavy thump, lifeless lump, they drop down one by one. It means the number of the other mariners who are in the company of the ancient mariner is 200. The number of the other mariners is 200, and all of them fell down senselessly upon the ship, and all of them dropped down one by one, and all of them look lifeless, though they are not in a position to groan, they are not in a position to speak anything, they are not in a position to utter even a word. It seems that they are looking at the ancient mariner with a ghastly eyes. the souls did from their bodies fly. It seems that the soul had flee from their body. The souls have fled from their body, means the soul does not exist in their body. They fled to bliss or woe. They fled towards the heaven or the hell. They fled, they go to the heaven, and every soul, it passed me by like a wedge of my crossbow. The poet here tells that the souls of the dead mariner came out of their bodies and they went to the heaven, they went to the hell. And the ancient mariner is looking all these things. He is suffering from life and death, and he is not in a position to understand, after all, where these souls are going. They are going to heaven or they are going to hell. He is not in a position to understand, after all, where they are going. As these souls passed by him, crossed by him, making a hissing sound, as the one he had made when he had shot the albatross with his crossbow. The sound was created, a peculiar type of sound was created when the ancient mariner killed the albatross with his crossbow. The same type of sound has been created by the souls which are going to the sky. So this voice has been heard by the ancient mariner. Now the fourth part starts, but today here I stop my lecture. In the next class we shall start the fourth part of the ancient mariner. So now I conclude. Thanks to you all for joining. यहीं बंद करते हैं, आज रहने दो. हेलो.
यस सर.
आज यहीं रहने दो.
ओके सर.
अगले क्लास में शुरू करेंगे. थैंक्स.
थैंक यू सर.